Hi everyone, welcome to this webinar. I'm Willem and I'm going to give you a better understanding of A/B testing during this webinar. And I'm going to give you some real life examples to inspire you to start running your own A/B tests. We'll first go over the basics of A/B testing and what to keep in mind when running your own A/B tests, before diving deeper into some real life examples. I will also briefly discuss who we at TechLayer are and how we can help your brand to grow online, and there will be a special gift at the end of this webinar for everyone. So, how does A/B testing actually work? An A/B test is a very easy way to compare two different versions of your website, emailing campaign, or another marketing asset. You'll be showing the original version to 50% of your visitors and a variation to the other 50% of your visitors. The purpose of a split test is to see and measure the difference in the performance of both versions. And after it, you can decide what works best before finalizing the implementation on your website. This enables you to make decisions based on data instead of on your gut feeling, and gives you actionable insights into the changes that you make. You can test every single element of your website. For example, it is, however, very important, and I cannot stress this enough, to only test one single change at a time, if you'd like to analyze your changes correctly, of course. So let's start with the first example. The first element that you can test is a copy or headline of your pages. Did you know that 80% of website visitors don't even make it past the headline before leaving? Your headline is usually the very first thing someone sees when visiting a website, and therefore it can make or break your conversion. Make sure your headline grabs the attention from the start and has a value proposition that triggers your visitors. When it comes to A/B testing your headline, you can choose to either test two completely different headlines against each other, or you can simply change one word or the headline. You can really change the headline and you can see what the effect has on it. When looking at the copy of your website, it's very important to keep your audience in mind. Some audience need like lengthy and detailed copy because the product or service is quite complex, compared to other audience that just need to understand what you basically do. Testing different variations to see what gets the most conversions can be a worthy test for your brand. Next up is the call to action. This might be the most important part of your website when looking at it from a business opportunity side, because this is what you want your audience to interact with. A/B testing your call to actions can go from the wording to the button size, to the shape of the button, or even the color of the call to action button. Netflix, for example, experimented with the wording of its call to actions and tested 4 different versions of its buttons. They compared Join Netflix to Get Netflix, Try It Now, and Join Now. The winner of the test, you will never know this before testing it. I mean, maybe you can guess it, but I couldn't guess which one was the winner. And the variant Try It Now was the winner, because this resulted in the most subscriptions to the platform. The next elements we'll be looking at are the visual parts of the website. Our brains can interpret visual content like images much quicker than text, which is why visual content can communicate or amplify your message instantly. The idea of this test is to see what images work best for your audience and make them click through or keep them on your page. Sony experimented with the banners of their laptops. And they wanted to see which one works the best for their campaign and which versions had the highest shopping cart ads. The results were even better than expected with the variant. It increased the click-through rate by 6% compared to the control version. And the shopping cart ads even increased by 21.3%. That's really crazy. Considering these numbers with a big brand such as Sony, it's not hard to see how much value they can generate by simply A/B testing their banners. A little fun fact in that research, had the marketeers at Sony believed that emphasizing customization would make customers turn down the offer because it could be seen as a potential obstacle in their journey. This once more shows that running tests is more important than relying on your guts. Most brands want to collect as much information as possible about their future leads. I see it all the time with my clients as well. And this often scares them away with a lengthy form that makes up too much of their time. When looking at forms, less is more in most cases. There's no standard for the size of a form, but in general, shorter forms tend to have higher conversion rates. The best practice when A/B testing your form is to test different parts of your form to decide what works and what doesn't, so you eventually end up with a perfectly composed form. The best thing to start with is deciding which fields of your form are really necessary and which ones aren't. Testing these fields first can easily give you a better understanding of what fields positively impact your completion rate. Another benefit of A/B testing your form is to enable you to identify possible bottlenecks. These are fields that keep users from completing or submitting your form. A classic example of a bottleneck is a field that asks for a phone number. Insight Squared is a B2B company that experimented with its form to improve its conversion rate and generate more leads and sales. The original form had some optional fields, which made the form look rather long and scared for a lot of visitors. And the company decided to move some optional fields to make their form less intimidating. They determined what percentage left their phone number when completing a form. And notice that only 50% of their visitors left their phone number. This was enough for them to decide that the phone number field could definitely be removed. The company decided to test their new form on their ebook page first and noticed an increase of 112% in conversions. That's really crazy, and just by putting away one small piece of the form. I also see it with a lot of clients. Sometimes we make them like even shorter, and you see really high conversion increases with making the forms shorter. Another way is to A/B test is the pricing. The way you put your pricing on your website might look like something simple that can't really be changed or a lot because your pricing is your pricing, right? Well, I'll show you it's time to think that over again. Codex Academy is an online interactive platform that offers free coding classes and experimented with its pricing page. They tested the well-known Rule of 100 principle. This psychological trick suggests that customers see amounts of $100 as being greater in value than percentages, even though they're the exact same amount. Because Codex Academy's savings in their annual plan was above $100, they decided to give this rule a try and run an A/B test on their pricing page. The results were spectacular. The variation which mentions how much the customers save in dollars had an increase of 28% in Pro Plan subscriptions and a small increase in overall page conversions. So it's very important to also take a look at your pricing to get a better conversion rates. Now, the product page. It's important to make sure your product page has all the info presented in a clear way. This enables your customers to digest the information quickly and convert faster because they won't have to actively look for info. Make sure your special prices stand out. The Add to Cart button is visible, and in one blink of an eye, to mention free shipping and so on. Swiss Gear decided to run an A/B test on their product page and change the color of their text elements. In the original version on the left, the red and black text is mixed and nothing really stands out from the rest of the page or catches your attention. In their variation, they decided to highlight the most important element in red to make sure they immediately catch your attention, like the special price and Add to Cart section. As you can see, this makes it a lot easier to find the necessary information on the product page in their variation. Even though the changes are quite small, they resulted in a rise of conversion of 52% and even a more spectacular increase of 132% during the holiday season. So, the product descriptions. Another important part of your website to test is the product description. It might look similar to testing the copy of your website, but this test specifically targets the details and description of the product itself. The length of your product description usually depends on the product or service you're selling. Rather complex products often need longer text, and more detailed products, they need a bit more description than the other products. To make this description shorter, people will find faster what they're looking for and will see the more relevant information, and they will buy the products faster. Testing your shopping cart is the ultimate test when all the previously mentioned tests come together. This is the most essential test for e-commerce businesses or whatever other business that you have. Because this is where you want your visitors to end up and eventually convert. Changing the color of your buttons, their placements, and adding or removing elements are just a few examples that can have a huge impact on your conversion rate. Perry Sports, part of JD Sports, is a sports retail chain that ran multiple A/B tests in their shopping cart. They changed the copy of some elements, added their USPs, changed the shape of their buttons, changed the color of some fonts, just to name a few things that they've done. The multiple variations resulted in 16% more revenue for the brand compared to the original version. So, subject lines, it's also something that's very easily to test. You quickly get lost in someone's overcrowded mailbox nowadays. On average, 1 out of 3 people decides to open an email or not solely based on the subject line. As you can see, there's a lot at stake when it comes to the subject line. And what to do with them shouldn't you just depend on your gut feeling. A/B testing gives them a clear view of the effect of the numbers because the numbers never lie. It's important to decide what segment you'd like to address first and match your subject line to their interests. Next up is deciding what aspect of the chosen subject line you'll put to the test. This can be the wording, the length, the degree of personalization, the design, the emojis, and so on. So, some important lessons that you can take away from A/B testing. The first one is clearly define what you want to test and set your goals. Adapt the page you want to test, but only change one element at a time. Run the test as long as you need to run to have a statistical significant result. Analyze both the tests, the A version and the B version, and implement the most successful version. You can start over again and again and test other elements. So hopefully you learned a lot during this webinar. Now a little bit more about TechLayer. What is TechLayer? Yeah, we help to create a better customer experience for everyone by making the experience unique. So on the left side, you will see your current customer experience, which is most of the times the same for every visitor. And we make sure that every visitor gets to see a personalized experience. We do this across different channels. So we have the website channel, emails, push notifications, social channels, and WhatsApp. And we help marketeers across different industries. We're active in basically every industry there is. So yeah, we have a special gift for you. I told you the special gift is a free customer experience analysis for you. So if you're interested, you can always send me a message on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to make an analysis of your website to analyze your customer experience and give you some improvements on it. Hope to see you during the next webinar. Bye.